with the end of this end of this World Cup, it was as over. But what I was able to watch and notice through this this time here in America, I think, glad we was able to do it. Is well, I was able to observe and look at the things of social intimacy, and in this, I was able to do look um, review an article that was done by Zach Ruman, and, and it was done in 1974, and it was about his research paper that he did on social intimacy and with social disclosure. And when I was looking through, listening to a lot of videos and things that were said on, that were put up on YouTube about people that from other countries and those that are as Americans, I was able to see the sort of actual practice of his theories and his ideas that he had, um, while using the World Cup as the perfect example of this. Because when I first heard about when people they're coming here to America, they were scared, they were not sure about what going on in America. Was it bad? Was it really harsh? But and the same thing with us as Americans when they were coming here. We're like, how do we respond to them? And which is kind of a was a there was confusion, and there was no social intimacy in that, because we didn't know the people from the other countries that were coming to our country, or the vice versa. But we were able to, through just a common thing being soccer or football, on where what they call it, is we're able to build a symbolic relationship through sports. And if you were part of the Scots, then you were the beer was one of the things. And then we see there was food, and overall, just I would say there was oneness around these simple but significant things. And in this, when when you see people that interacted with people from other countries, they were able to see that they had to go and use their self disclosure to say, like, well, like Americans would say, "Hi, my name is Xavier Harris, and welcome to America." And when you start to interact with them, and then as you learn where they were from, like some were from England, a lot of people from Africa, that because my sister, she lives in Houston, and so there were a lot of interactions there with these different people. And in the start of this, it was a we had to disclose, information about yourself, and disclosing who you were, where you've come from, where, like far, like what part of the United States, where did you come from? Were you from, the East Coast, West Coast, and then vice versa? And in these simple interactions, we were they're allowed and able to communicate with each other. And even though there were different cultural differences, and even sometimes even language barriers, yet we're able to have social intimacy with each other. And that is and it's part of that journal by Mr. Rubin, that he talks about, with you know having social disclosure and how it leads to intimacy. And this is one of those examples. And it wasn't just only like here, but it was in other countries around the world, where people, like in in Mexico, where you had people from other countries come in there for their part and of different areas that from different cultures got together, and because they were universally, here for soccer, football, but in that they had that symbolic relationship where they were able to communicate with each other and use shared things to interact and build relationships, and there's a oneness with people from other countries, other places, and some of them they were on like for like a couple of days. Then there were some other ones they were there for the entirety of it. And in this, well, I was able to see through these things like these World Cup, and to be able to see how human beings who are different can still look for that intimacy and that social uh, intimacy with people that they've never met before, or people you just you know you saw through social media. And it's it's really impressive that we're able to see these things in these times, because one of the issues that a lot of people had were with um, current say political leanings, how they were told certain things. You see how their countries were saying the same thing about Americans, that all Americans are evil, or this propaganda. I would for I guess try to be a nicer way to say it is that they were you know filling our countries and people with wrong ideologies. Yes, there are some bad ones in for every group. There are bad things about every country and so forth. But at this time, we were able to put aside, not about politics. Don't worry about different groups and um, the issues that these countries have, and even some that even have with our own country, where they would put those things aside and share in this one common goal and purpose, and that was to be here, to have to enjoy the, the soccer, football, be able to enjoy that and spend that time with the common people. A lot of times we see people from our politicians, we see celebrities, people that are well known people, but when you get to see the raw American people, the people, the everyday people, the ones that go to the WalMarts, the ones that go to McDonald's and Five Guys, and even the mom and pop places that are in our country. The people from the other countries got to come here to see that American people are not. We're not all we're not like stuck up. We're not proud. We're not ones that will hurt people, but they were able to see firsthand where you let people we allow people to come into our homes and allow them to see our everyday lives, which built social intimacy with the people that were from other countries that introduced to Americans, and vice versa. So then we were able to find those things that bind us together and not push us further apart. And this is where I liked about Zach Rubin's thing, where even though he used in his time, he used people at the bus stops and people that were in an airport lounge, and just meeting and just interacting with people randomly, and how through that disclosure of their just being friendly and talking to them and developing that social intimacy with them, they create bonds with a lot of these individuals. And this is one of the things that I am real glad to see for our country, that when these people came from these other countries to see America, that they didn't get the thing of that the political side of American people. We were able to go and show the people, hey, that Americans are people too. We have our, we have our problems. We have our lists. We like our little groups, and especially with the football season coming up here, we getting our little tribes and groups again. But we were able to show them that what America really is, and it's not the political side, being it Democrat or Republican, the LGBT, Black Lives Matters, these other types of things. It was just the core of American people being able to be one together and building social intimacy with these people from other countries. And also, I think it helped us as American people to be able to look at where we see ourselves, even though because they don't have to leave. We Americans, we can just talk about our people in our local neighborhoods, people that we interact with at the store every day. And I know again that the media will make it sound like there's just so much division, there's so much chaos. But when you go to your malls, when you go into your grocery stores, when you're just interacting every day, even at your jobs, you don't see it there. Um, it's 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 kind of a thing that is made to divide us as Americans, to turn against each other, to try to get us on like one, like the left side or the right side, and say if you're not with us, then you're against us. But our country, with all of its problems and issues, is what made it our country. I would say the greatest on earth for this time is because people were able to accept, hey, those things happened in the past, but we don't have to redo those things again. That where you had people like my forefathers and my grandparents and parents were able to overcome the racism and be able to go into grocery stores where you can go in front doors, where well, I'm living in an all white neighborhood, and for all really have any problems, where I can talk to my neighbors across the street, and we can interact and uh, give each other our vegetables. And somebody is sick or somebody has a child, we get involved in that and show that social intimacy. And because of just because even be in a neighborhood in the city itself, the Hawkeye fans versus Iowa State fans, you have little groups, but yet we all are Americans, and we're not ashamed to say, hey, we love our country. And then we have other people from out of the country. They come into to our country, excuse me, and they get together and interact with us and say, you know what, they're different, we'll say races, different groups, but yet they have a love for each other. The, and that is intimacy, is something that what makes America great. And that's what I would hope people would get from this short speech, but also that when they look at themselves and look at when they saw the World Cup and any other interaction that we have with people from other countries, is that when they see us, it's not something that we put on because we're around people from other countries, but be able to say, because this is who we are, because we are people that are good people, that we do care, we smile, we love on people and interact with people, because we understand that the intimacy is what draws us together as human beings. And so something that the government can't teach us. It's not something that that the, those types of forces can make us do. It's something that we as individuals need to do. Teach it to if you have children, teach it to your children, teach it with your parents, with your neighbors, and you start there and you work your way out. And doing this, we'll be able to help the world become a better a little bit better place. And that way people can look at us, especially as American people, to say, if they can do it there in one of the most diverse countries on earth, if they can do it and find ways to cooperate together, we can do the same. Thank you.